Hello, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls. It's me, Big Mike. Now, as of late, I've been wanting to do some smaller videos to fill in the time between my more edited content, and this is going to be the first one of such videos. And this type of video, I'm going to call Big Mike's Story Time. Now, but first, before we jump into this, I just want to apologize ahead of time. I'm a bit under the weather. I'm coming down with the cold or the flu. At least I hope that's what it is. So my voice sounds a little rough, a little raspy. If I sound a little congested, that's right. So please forgive me for that. Now, for this episode of Big Mike's Story Time, I want to talk about why I went MIA on YouTube. And also how I was able to come back. Now, if you follow me on YouTube, then you noticed I was uploading a couple times a month from about November, December until February, and then I kind of fell off for a while. Now, I explained the situation on my Twitter, if you follow me on Twitter, but I never really posted an explanation here on YouTube. And it's a bit of an interesting story, I would say. Now, first and foremost, I knew going into this whole content creation project that I was going to be taking April, the whole month of April and the first week of May off. For personal reasons I prefer not to get into. That's just a busy time in my life. I have very little free time during that period. However, originally I wasn't going to make it so apparent. I was planning on making some extra videos in the months leading up to that period, so as where I could still upload content. However, there was some really, really crazy technical issues that prevented this from happening, and that's really the focus of this story. So, what happened, you might be asking? And that's a damn good question. That's one of the reasons why I love you guys and gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls, because you guys and gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls know just how to ask those damn good questions. However, I don't exactly know, and that's the crazy thing. So, back during the last 10 days of December, I recorded an episode of Coffee with Big Mike. In that episode, I had a conversation with Rolling Crow, a game developer, and everything was okay. But then a few days later, I recorded an episode with an amazing VTuber named Mika Moonbeam, and there was a horrible humming. So I went back sometime later to edit the video, and there was this loud humming sound, like maybe I'll play a clip when I go to edit this. So unfortunately, I couldn't use that episode of Coffee with Big Mike. But originally, I thought it was just my mic. I thought maybe my mic was busted. It's not a really cheap mic, but also it's not a super expensive one either. So I was thinking maybe my mic busted. And now after that, I decided that, okay, I'm going to try a new mic. So I ordered a new mic, and lo and behold, the issues persisted with this mic as well. Now this mic, again, it's not a super expensive one, but it was a bit more expensive than my previous mic. So it was a little frustrating, I would say. That's money down the drain. Well, over the next couple of weeks, I managed to record a couple more episodes of Coffee with Big Mike. Sometimes there would be a humming, other times the audio on my side would crackle. It's a lot like if you ever used an old AM radio. Now, upon doing research, I discovered it was likely due to a grounding issue. Now, for those unfamiliar with grounding and some issues that may come with it, what tends to happen is there's an excess of electricity. And I'm not sure how this issue started. Again, one day it was perfectly normal, and literally like 2 or 3 days later, this issue just popped out of nowhere. However, but because I knew at this time exactly what was going on, I was able to do some experiments and find a couple of workarounds. Like, for example, I discovered if I could unplug my laptop from the power source, or if I held a mic instead of letting it rest on the stand, then I wouldn't have any issues, or the issues wouldn't be so severe. And thank God for this, fam, because this helped me successfully record my episodes of Coffee with Big Mike that featured the lovely Kitty Minx and the awesome Discreet Infinity. However, unfortunately, these workarounds eventually stopped working, and as a result, I have 2 more interviews, in addition to the one with Mika Moonbeam, that I can't use. One of them was with a personal friend, and I'm not so sure I'm going to be able to redo that one. And the other one is with one of my favorite VTubers, Gaia Earth Goddess. And it really breaks my heart that I can't use either one of them. But maybe we can try to redo them at some point in the future. At least for with Gaia Earth Goddess. I'm not sure if my friend will be down to do that again, but we'll see. But it was after my interview with Gaia, and after I realized that interview was botched, that I decided to hang things up. You know, Gaia, she's not just my favorite, one of my favorite VTubers, I would say. But she is somebody I consider a friend. And I try to be a very reliable person. I try to be somebody that can be dependable. And if I feel like I can't live up to those standards, then I don't want to do what I'm doing. Back when I was in high school and I played football, one of my football coaches used to tell us all the time, if something's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And that's something I take to heart. I'm not perfect. I can't perfect everything I do, but if I know going into it, I can't at least give the bare minimum quality, then I don't want to do it. And also, I don't want to let somebody down either. And so, at that point in time, I decided, okay, I need to step back from this. And I was a bit bummed out for a while. And actually, I didn't know what I was going to do, as I'm not a guy who can instantly drop the required amount of money to buy a new system. And content creation is something I really want to do. It's something I've been pursuing since August. You know, I've sunk hours, days, weeks, and probably months of my time, of my life into this. And so it's something I couldn't just simply walk away from. Now, I am saving up to get a new system, but it's going to be a while, and that's still a ways off. And I didn't want to lose what I already had built. So I was at a pretty low point then. But while I was in my personal busy season, I got the itch to make more content. And this was an itch I didn't think I could scratch. Over time, I eventually decided to give it a shot. But the sad reality was that I knew I'd have to give up Coffee with Big Mike, which I will admit, hands down, is my favorite content to make. Now, don't get me wrong, I love gaming, I love indie games, I love Linux, I love some other type of content I want to make, like, animation, anime, but I really love conversations. I love talking to people and meeting people. And so giving that up, it really hurt. It really, really hurt. But I knew I couldn't put myself in a situation where I would let the other person down. So if I'm going to have an interview with, say, Mika Moonbeam again, I don't want to put her in a situation where I'm wasting her time because I can't use our interview. So I decided, I would make more edited content, like my indie game showcases, my freeloader gaming, and more recently my review of Ubuntu 22.04. As I could play around a bit with my setup, I could check to see if everything worked okay, and it'd be much easier for me to do redos or retakes And, at the very least, if things just completely were horrible, I could step back and say, okay, I can't do this. And there would be no other person there to disappoint. And so I haven't chose my new course of action. Once my busy season was over, I decided to do my review of Ubuntu 22.04, and this is where things turned around for me, fam. So, I'm not sure if you saw that video I did, but just the most important part for this story from that video is that I did a full installation of Ubuntu 22.04 on a USB drive, so I could do my review. And this is when I stumbled across one of the most fortuitous things I ever came across in my life. I'm not a guy who normally has the best luck, so when I came across this, I was just whoa, just like completely flabbergasted. So when I started to record my video, there was no humming, there was no AM radio like crackle, and nor was there any other grounding related issue. And I was just completely caught off guard by this. Now, that being said, this issue just didn't magically disappear. So that issue still persists when I use the operating systems installed on my SSD, when I use Ubuntu 18.04, which is my daily driver, or the operating system I use on a daily basis, or Windows 10. But for some reason, when I use the OS installed on a USB drive, it doesn't seem to occur. And I don't think it's because of the OS itself. I think it has something to do with the USB drive. So the next logical question that may pop into you lovely guy, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls' head is, why does this happen? And again, that's another damn good question. And unfortunately, I don't really have an answer to this one as well. But unlike the first question, I do have two theories. So my first one is that when I'm using the OS on my USB drive, my audio is being recorded to the USB drive and not the SSD drive. So as a result, somehow the interference isn't there. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure of the science behind it, but it's not there. Now the second theory I have is there's something about my USB drive being in use. There's something about my USB drive being in constant use that grounds the computer. Now, let me clarify a bit here. Just having a USB drive in it does nothing. Like when I use my normal operating system on Ubuntu 18.04 with a USB drive in, the problem still exists. So, I'm guessing it has something to do with the fact that the USB drive is in constant use while running my OS off it. And my guess is that has something to do with it not being affected by the grounding issue. Or maybe it draws the excess electricity. I have no idea. I'm not a technician. I'm not a technician. I'm a software guy, but when it comes to hardware, I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. Nor am I an engineer. But regardless of why, I was able to return to making new episodes of Coffee with Big Mike. And as a result, I couldn't be happier. I'm so glad to be back. I'm so glad to be able to put out content again, to be able to make episodes of Coffee with Big Mike, and to be able to interact with you lovely guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls. And it really is a huge load off my shoulders, fam. Really, really, really is. Now, that's going to do it for this episode of Big Mike Story Time. I know this was a bit heavy, a bit tech heavy, a bit emotionally heavy, because this is something that kind of wore on me a lot, I should say. But don't expect every episode of Big Mike Story Time to be heavy like this. I'm going to share some more uplifting stuff, some more humorous stuff. But I think this is where we're going to end it off at. So that's going to do it for this episode of Big Mike Story Time. So alright guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls. Thank you so much for joining us. Also, special thanks to Fran, who does a wonderful job doing my art. A special thanks to all of my friends on Twitter. I wouldn't be here without you all. And most importantly, a special thank you to all of you for watching. Please like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you dislike it, and feel free to comment below and let me know what you think. If you like my content, please subscribe and turn your notifications on. And until next time, fam, remember, just be yourself and you'll be awesome. Peace out.